Hey, you guys, we'll wait a few moments just to see if anybody else comes in. We'll start maybe at like 5 after.
You can just leave on your, I don't need to be on the corner. You can't angle it just on you. Oh, gosh.
No.
I thought you muted it.
I'm muted. No, this one's not muted. It's not muted. And this is just so to see the chat.
How's everybody doing?
Hello. Hey, Mr. Willie, you'll sign in.
Oh, I didn't see that. I ain't been on it so long.
I know.
I'm gonna go class, got signed in.
I see you forgetting how it is now.
How y'all doing today?
Good, how you doing?
We got the hard worker in here. Mr. Willie, let me tell you, I started to call you back 5 days afterwards. Be like, it needs to be cut already
Yeah,
because
all
of the
this
rain.
When I think of it?
I
Like day before yesterday.
no.
I cut mine yesterday morning. And if you put in my yard right by the mailbox and grab it, this much taller than everything else already.
Right.
Really? And that was the thing, like especially in the backyard. I'm like, man, I gotta call Mr. Willie back out here already. That rain got that grass
But this
going.
rain, if you fertilize it in, your grass gonna grow.
Yeah.
Would y'all mind signing
Hello,
on
they
that
signed
sign-in
it.
sheet?
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry about that.
And I just put mine on mine.
Yeah, I need to. I fertilized about 3 weeks ago. I need to do it again. I gotta
What the
cut
line
mine
do?
today.
No, I put it on one side where it have to be split, or when the water come out the AC.
Oh,
It's sliming out.
yeah.
I put some more. Oh.
Wait just a few more moments, see if anybody else comes.
Do we got anybody signed on? 10 people? Oh.
Just on the fishing thing.
Oh man, I want to go fishing down here.
You went somewhere, I think you went out to the river around out on the side.
Okay, okay. How y'all doing?
Hey! You brought the pen and paper for me? Oh, he's so silly. I need another pen, there you go. Thank you, thank you.
Hello. That's how this gonna go. What's going on, man?
What's up, man? You doing all right?
I'm doing good.
What's that? What's that?
What's on my
I'm trying to put a fence around y'all deers down there.
Huh?
Y'all deers y'all got down there by the electrical box. By
Hey.
that power station. God, I saw a deer came from out there, that the one big buck that's in this area.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big boy now.
I know.
Real big.
They're part of the family.
Yeah, they part of the family.
Yeah, they stay right there by y'all house and the girl was saying about Palmer Smith. They love staying in her yard.
They always get it.
Really?
One of them came right there to the driveway the other day. He turned around and walked back around there. He was sitting out there in the woods. I was like,
Y'all might as well go ahead and throw the corn out there for him.
No.
no. He ain't feeding them.
I'm gonna throw some out there.
All right, y'all. So we'll go ahead and get started. I don't want to waste anybody's time. So it's a handout on there if y'all can get one. I also emailed it out. The meeting obviously is to vote on the proposed due increase for 2022. Obviously, everybody saw the email with the special assessment that's due September 1st of $85. The special assessment doesn't require a vote based on the covenant. If the assessment is less than the yearly HOA amount, then it doesn't require a vote. I wanted to spend the meeting going over kind of how we got in this situation. And just make sure everybody understands that before you vote. So if you have the email or if you have this handout, I kind of want to start there because this isn't some new situation that just was created when we took over as a new board in 2022. This is a situation that's been brewing for years. And I want to start with the first handout. It should say budget 2021 at the top. And so what you'll see if you look on the left column under expenses, about the fourth entry from the bottom, maybe the fifth, you'll see where it says fees used to make it to the end of 2020. And so what we've been doing since really the pool has been constructed is we keep pulling money from the following year to get through the current year. You can see in this particular year, we pulled $9,213. I'm gonna say that amount again, $9,213. We pulled from the next year to pay the current year's expenses. I'm sure we all remember Melvin, getting on the page, invoicing everybody around August, September, asking everybody if they wouldn't mind paying their HOA dues early. And the reason we were having to do that is because we were using that next year's money to get through the current. And we've been in a cycle of doing that really since the pool has been constructed. If you take a look at the next handout, now this is the next handout is last year's budget. Last year, you can see the same thing. If you look down, you'll say fees used to make it to the end of 2021. I cut that off by mistake, but that time it was 6821. So even this past fall, we pulled almost $7,000 from this year's dues to get to the end of 2021. This has really been going on since the pool was built. I've been researching. The pool construction went over. Not only did it go over and we ate about $12,000 at once in overages, we wiped away the reserve fund that we had. So where we're at as a HOA right now is we have no reserve fund. The one credit card that we had, that we inherited, is pretty much maxed out. And that kind of brings us to where we're at today. So if you go to the last handout, and it's cut off a little bit on the right in person, I apologize about that. But this shows you what our budget looks like through June of this year. This is actual. This is through June. One thing I highlighted in red at the bottom that hurt us is I'm sure everybody remembers we had the leak in here, and we had a $2,500 deductible. Construction went over by about $300. So while we spent $10,576 on it, we got $76.83 in insurance money. So that cost us about $3,000 in just straight liquid funds to get the building repaired. With this year's budget, if you scroll to the right, if you're on your phone, you will see that through June, now this is through June, we have about $2,500 left for the rest of the year. We got 6 months worth of bills and we have $2,500 left. And I think this is where we're generally at every year is come June, come July, come August, we're out of money. And at that point, what we've done as a board prior to 2022 is get on there asking and begging everybody to pay their next year's dues early. And we kick this can down the road. And we hope if everybody pays early, we get through the current year. And we start the next year off with $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 less than we're supposed to have. And that's what we keep doing. As a board, we made a decision that we cannot continue to do that. We have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that we don't become insolvent where we cannot pay HOA bills. And that's where we're close to being this year and every year for the past few years. Because what happens if you guys, and we have to pay as well, what happens if you guys don't pay early and we can't pay our bills? I feel like we came to this as a last resort. I was the last one that wanted to agree to an increase, I'm gonna be honest. We tried to check into refinancing our mortgage. And first, I want to make sure everybody knows that our HOA books are free for any member of the HOA to view at any time. It's not something that is top secret. These budgets are emailed out yearly. They're not emailed out every month, but this information is free for anybody to see at any point in time. Our mortgage is almost $2,000 a month. We tried to refi it. We checked with 3 different banks. The bank we're with, when we got that mortgage, we got it on a 10-year loan, which is kind of short. 10-year loans gonna have a pretty steep payment, but we didn't have much of a credit rating. That was as long as they were willing to go. We had some options to refi into 15 years, but every one came with an adjustable rate mortgage. So I'm sure most of you know that that mortgage would have locked our rate in for 5 years, and then every 5 years it would adjust it to the prime rate plus a little bit extra, meaning that if rates jump up, which they're already creeping up, we could have made a bad decision, refinance that mortgage, and put us in an even worse place. Right now, we're about 4 years into a 10-year mortgage. So we checked with Kinetic, we checked with Truist. I'm sure all you guys know who Michelle Williams is, got with her to check into some commercial lenders that she's familiar with. None of them were a good option at all. All of them were going to increase our rate up from what it is now into an adjustable rate mortgage, which just don't make sense. But we tried to check on that to see if we can drop that mortgage down some to kind of, make everything a little bit more feasible and make the books work. I went back and researched, and so right now we have about 217 homes in Lexington Hills. I've been here since 2017. Most of you guys that's been here for a while remember when that pool was built, most of Magazine Lane, well, probably at least half of it didn't exist. None of Legion existed. A good chunk of Lexington Lake Drive didn't exist. When you go back and run the numbers, and I think we probably had between 190 and 200 homes. I just used 200 to estimate on the high side. When you take 200 and multiply that by 165 per home, you get about $33,000, or no, I'm sorry. Yeah, $33,000. Our mortgage, insurance, power, internet, and water, this ain't even include, it's almost $32,000. So I'm gonna say that again. At the moment that pool was built, based on the homes we had in Lexington Hills, the total amount we could collect on is about $33,000. And our base bills were basically $32,000. That doesn't include landscaping, any extra pool upkeep, doesn't include any of that. When we be realistic about the bills, we're probably gonna be at $44,000, $45,000. That tells me that the minute we signed on that mortgage without increasing the dues, we were in trouble. Obviously, we banked on more homes being built, which has happened, but it still isn't enough to bridge that gap. And so that's kind of, and you can see it in the numbers. Again, if you start looking at these again, 9,000, 6,000, 7,000, you can see the shortage because it's manifesting itself every year. Every fall, we start running out of money and we got to pull money from the next year to be able to pay our bills. So that's kind of where we're at. One of Melvin's last meetings talked about, we had a lot of trouble out the pool. One thing we've done a good job of this year is keeping the pool open. We've had, like I had to close it yesterday, but most Tuesdays where it's supposed to be closed for maintenance, it's not even closed. Last couple years was a little bit different with COVID and things like that. Pool was oftentimes closed. Sometimes the pool was closed because it wasn't operational. We've had that pool open every day. One thing Melvin mentioned was a pool attendant. I think he saw the need for security or a pool attendant or something because we were having issues with the pool. And that was with it being open half the time, closed half the time. This year we started off without one because obviously the budget didn't have room for any kind of security, pool attendant, anything like that. We started off, we opened the pool. I'm sure everybody remembers that. I want to say the second weekend, me, Tasha, and Amanda were down here countless times with incidents at the pool. Last strike was we came down here, families had scattered because some boys jumped the gate and for, I don't know why they thought this, but we all know these young kids running around with these backpacks and crap, and they thought the kids had weapons on. And that's when we decided enough is enough. As a board, we have a responsibility to make sure that common areas that anybody in the HOA can access are safe and secure. And we cannot have kids running around potentially with guns, jumping the gate, trespassing in our shared areas. So we made the decision to start having security down here every weekend. I'm sure many of you have saw those cop cars down here every Saturday and Sunday since that incident happened. The minute we got security, I hadn't been down to this pool one time. Only time I would come down here was to pay. We have to pay the officer after his shift. First weekend, this past weekend, we tried to pull back from a budgetary standpoint because we try to be financially responsible. We don't want to charge more than we have to. We try to pull back. We get kids cut a hole through the fence over there, trespass, and I have to come down here with Mr. Hodge and run these kids off. First weekend we went without security. That has let me know that we're going to have to just accept the fact that to keep our common area nice and like we need it to be, we're going to have to pay security in some way, shape, or form. As a board, we have discussed, could we lower the cost with some kind of regular security? We probably could. Is that going to offset the benefit of having that cop car outside where if somebody's wanting to come by here and do something, they see that cop car to keep going? We'll figure it out. But no matter what, we're going to have to accept that we're probably going to have weekend security at the pool during the entire pool season. Period. If not, they're going to vandalize our stuff. They're going to jump in. And if one kid jumps this gate and falls and cracks his head open, we all could be exposed to a potential lawsuit. Don't mean they'll win, but we all can be exposed to liability just for the fact that they keep trying to trespass here. The cops, they'll walk around. We don't give them a list of people, but we do tell them no one should enter the pool without a key card. And they stopped trespassing, and it got to the point where most people see them, they just keep going. We were hopeful that after 4 or 5 weekends of that, we could stop it and people would just not come here and trespass. But again, first weekend it happened, we spent $400 repairing that fence that they cut through. So that is a big I won't say unexpected, because the previous president Melvin clearly saw the need for a pool attendant or security. So I won't say unexpected expense. I will say it's an expense that we didn't budget for, that we've had to take on immediately. And you can see that on their year-to-date budget. Want to go over a few misconceptions. Again, you got to have an open mind. Well, you don't have to, but we want you to have an open mind and look at the numbers and listen to the data. A lot of people think we can collect our way out of where we're at, right? Oh, because some people say if y'all collect from the people that aren't paying, we'd be able to pay our bills. And right now, for 2022, we're at 91% collections, and that is not bad. We've talked to Sonoma Point, some of the other homeowners associations in Columbus. Most of them are in the 70s. We are at 91% collected, and we could walk out to the mailbox. I ain't checked the mail in a few days, and it could be some more fees in there. Even if we collected on that last 8-9% right now, we still would be doing a special assessment. We still would be talking about a due increase. I need a drink of water real quick. The other thing I want people to understand, and I want everybody to look at the budget, right? Because we do a budget, and to me it's a little bit faulty. You guys know I took over in February, but I have worked a lot in my career in financials. I think our budget is faulty a little bit because we do a budget as if we're going to collect on 100% of fees, and we never will. We never will collect on 100% in that moment. And what I mean by that is if I own my home and I die, it might be 2 years before Lexington Hills gets that HOA money. So that means that in 2022, we will never collect on all of 2022 monies in 2022. What our budget should consist of is a running average of maybe the last 3 years. If by August we've collected on 93%, then our budget needs to be based on 93% collections. The other problem is that it costs money to collect. If we truly have to take someone to court to collect on HOA dues, any one of us takes off work has to be reimbursed for the hours we miss. That is on top of what it costs to file a claim and things like that. So we got to remember that we got to have money to collect because it takes money to pursue those collections. It is not free to file. Somebody's got to miss a day of work to try to collect those monies. So we got to have enough money even to try to collect from ones that won't collect. We had a sale come through a few days, well, probably about 2 weeks ago. We had a homeowner who passed away a while ago, and it was a couple years in the estate settling, and we got all our money. We got every bit of fees and things like that we were owed, but we hadn't got fees in 2 years from this particular household. So that's what you can expect. So in saying that, I just want to reiterate, there is no such thing as collecting at 100% in the moment. Our goal is to try to hit 95% during that year. And we're trending that way. We're at 91% now. I had a long conversation with her. Her name's Georgia Miller. You can look her up. She works for Truist. She has worked lending to homeowners associations for over 10 years. She said the standard goal is to try to be at 94, 95% a few months after your due date. So we're not there. Times are still hard. We know things are still tight, but being at 91% ain't bad. Still want to put a message out to anyone that if you're having hardship, just let us know. We'll definitely, it's not that you have to pay by that date. We want you to, but if you're having hardship, you can let us know. We can work with you. So, I think we all got to be realistic. You know, I sent that in the email and it seemed cheesy, but it was a real example. We used to go to Walmart and buy, it's a 4-pound bag of tilapia. I'm sure I ain't the only one. It used to be $12. That bag of tilapia is $19 right now. $19. And so one thing that does, I'm gonna be honest, it irritates me is how every homeowner can see inflation impacting them. It impacts you at the gas pump. It impacts you at the grocery store. So how can we all honestly see inflation impacting each and every one of us? But then when it comes to the homeowners association, you think it don't impact us? Every single thing we do costs more. Willie has graciously kept our prices the same at doing a lot of the lawn care. If you have a pool, I know some neighbors with pools. Pool products have doubled since the pandemic began. Some of them have tripled. Everything we do, Georgia power rates continue to climb. Every single thing we do costs more than it did 2 years ago. Our HOA fees have stayed the same for 7 years. If they are to stay the same for 2022, it'll be the 8th year straight. My personal opinion is that these fees should start creeping up the minute that pool was built. Maybe a 10%. We can increase 10% without approval. So maybe a 10% increase here, a 10% increase there. Maybe we could have made it just with another 10% increase. Well, where we're at right now, we cannot make it with a 10% increase. If we did do a 10% increase, we'd likely be looking at another special assessment sometime in 2023. So we sat down, ran a lot of numbers when we came up with the $250 proposed new HOA dues. It is a lot at once, from a percentage basis, right? But I felt like it's something that probably is passed through. My gut is that the fees probably should have started increasing 10% 19, 10% 20, 10% 2021. And that would have had us at, 230, 240. And then maybe we did another 10%. I do honestly believe that 250 would get us where we need to be, where we probably won't have to have an increase for, I would say, 3 to 4 years. Because with where we're at right now, we're steady chugging along on this 10-year mortgage. Once this mortgage is done, okay, well, then we're at a different ballgame. Then we don't have a $2,000 a month mortgage. We can look at other projects and things like that. But we got to get there. That worry is 6 years and months away from that. We can't worry about that now. What we got to worry about now is when that July mortgage payment comes through, we probably got less than $1,000 left. I'm just being real. We have less than $1,000 by the time July's mortgage, insurance, and stuff comes through. We got less than $1,000 left in our accounts to continue to pay bills. So I'm not getting on there like Melvin, like Keith Sweat, begging people to pay early, because that is financially not what's going to have us in a good place moving forward. We have improvements that we need to make. Everybody can see the furniture out at the pool is just falling apart, right? We got a saltwater pool. It's going to corrode metal. We need to spend some money on some resin or some wood furniture that the salt water won't eat up. It's other improvements. People have asked about a screen around the pool. There's lots of things we've already checked into. Some want a parking lot in front. All of this stuff costs money. We can't even consider the next repair right now. Matter of fact, we have DIY'd some repairs. Me and a neighbor, Brandon Sweetman across the street, DIY'd a plumbing repair on the pool pump in an attempt to save money. We probably did it for $280. Pool store wanted $1,000 to come out and do the same repair. And so it's not just HOA board members, but lots of residents are pouring time and money into the neighborhood to try to make it what it needs to be, but we just don't have enough money. We had a gentleman early in the year asked about, I can't remember his name, I think his last name was Hyde. He said, why is the pool looking green? Why is the pool looking ugly in the wintertime? And it was. It looks like crap. Biggest reason the pool looks like crap is because we don't have a pool cover. Once it gets cold, if you cover a pool, winterize it, sun can't get to the chlorine, you open it, it's crystal clear. We're spending more money every year trying to get that pool from being green than we'll spend on just investing in a pool cover. But how can we invest in a pool cover when we keep having to beg to just get money to pay the mortgage and things like that? So we're at a point where some things we can't do that are actually costing us money. That pool cover is a perfect example. We need a pool cover ASAP. When we close that pool this year, we need a pool cover first because it's safe. Secondly, because it'll allow that pool to be open with minimum money spent. If you look on this year's budget, there's a column that says pool upkeep. It ain't cheap. You know, I don't know what the total is. If I had to guess, about $1,500 so far this year. And that's not bad considering probably a good $600-700 that came just getting that pool from being green. But it's going to cost money to have the pool, stay open and stay operating. And so just wanted to kind of level set with where we are with the budget and make sure that everybody understands where we're at. We have to, as HOA boards, we don't get a pass on paying HOA dues. We have to pay the dues as well. So it wasn't something we did as a first resort. It's something I felt we did as a last resort, but I feel like it's something that should have been done. I'm gonna just be honest. Everybody's financial situation is different. We're definitely, sensitive to that. But I think with 2022's cost, the fees gotta go up. We gotta be able to, I'll take Willie, for example. Instead of having Mr. Holmes set up to cut the grass on a regular basis, I sit here and wait and wait and wait. And I pass by and I see weeds growing up. And I try to wait 3 weeks or as long as I can till we cut it. Or I go look at the calendar and I see somebody has a party Saturday. So I got to call Willie at the last minute on Friday, getting him to cut the grass. I'm doing that not because what I should be able to do is have Mr. Holmes cut the grass once a week. We don't fertilize the grass like it needs to because you fertilize it, it's going to grow faster, means Willie's got to cut them off. I'm doing that because we don't have enough money. I need to be able to, and that's just one example. He needs to be able to cut the grass. You shouldn't have your party Saturday and you pass by the pool house on Friday and it's weeds reaching up to your knees because we're trying to delay getting the grass cut as long as we can because we don't have enough money. So that's why we're asking for everybody's investment into the neighborhood. The worst thing that can happen is for the HOA to go under, which can happen. Some investor will come by and buy this pool. It'll satisfy, I think, a minority of neighbors, but for most of us who like rules and don't want people to be able to park on their grass and realize that if I put my home up for sale, I want the neighbor's yard to look okay so my home could sell for more. Those of us that realize this pool is bringing value to your home. You're selling your home for more because this pool. We have people renting out homes that are charging their tenant $100 a month to access the pool. That's because this pool is here. This pool may make your buyer or your tenant decide on Lexington Hills as opposed to another neighborhood. So we got to remember what this pool brings to the neighborhood. Last thing I want to say is I didn't use my first time getting in this pool was this year when me and we have not a tenant, but an owner. Her father helped me with the pool. We got into that pool and dove down and was scrubbing. right before it opened. That was my first time ever getting into this pool. But I voted for the pool in 2018 because I thought the pool was going to be a good investment. I thought it would bring value to my home. I don't use this pool that often. I maybe have used it twice. And that's probably because I'm president and I was helping clean it. Our covenant states that any amenity that is shared and available to every home in Lexington Hills, the cost must be split amongst homeowners. So I've gotten messages and emails stating, well, I don't use the pool, I shouldn't have to pay. That's not a thing. The covenant does not allow that. Any amenity that is available to be used by any home in Lexington Hills, the cost must be uniformly split amongst households. So you guys are more than welcome to continue to say it, but I'm going to kind of just ignore it. I'm not using the pool, so I shouldn't have to pay. That is not a thing. And I think all of us likely knew that when we bought into a neighborhood that has a homeowners association. That means we all got to foot the bill. A lot of the increase is due to the pool, the need for security, increase in pool costs, things like that. It is due to the pool. Pool's not going away. I've heard some people say cover the pool, this and that. Well, we cover it and we still got a $2,000 mortgage. We cover it and you still got to keep that water clean because if you let that thing turn into a swamp, it's going to be lizards, snakes, flies, it's going to smell. So what good is covering the pool? It'll get rid of security costs, but it's still going to have us out of whack because we still got the mortgage and the expenses that comes with a pool. And who wants to rent this building with a green swamp sitting right there? So all of that stuff is just unrealistic. We need to be real. Covering the pool, it will cost more to turn that pool into something else than it would riding out the last 6 years of the mortgage and keeping our amenities nice. But getting rid of the pool, not an option. Covering it, letting it turn into a stinky swamp, not an option. All that stuff is unicorns and rainbows. It's make-believe. To me, you voted for that pool in one or two ways. You were here when the pool was built and the majority of us voted for it, or you bought a home in Lexington Hills knowing the pool was here, which is voting for it just the same. So either you were part of that majority that voted for it, or you bought a home here and the pool existed. The pool is not going away, period. And even if we did, if I can blink and make that pool go away, we still got a $2,000 mortgage for 6 more years. So I just want to be blunt and realistic with where we're at as a homeowners association. I do think with the $250, not only is it going to allow us to be able to pay our bills and not, this is a volunteer job. I've been doing it since February. I'm sure lots of y'all see me passing by. I'm here in the morning, I'm here at night. Sometimes I drag my kids to help me, mess around with the pool, vacuuming, coming, testing the water, things like that. It's been times I'm down here cleaning the toilets. Somebody threw some Captain D's in the trash can, came in here, was maggots in here, I'm cleaning. We spend a lot of volunteer time trying to make the homeowners association go. And what I don't want to spend any more of my time is worrying on how we're going to pay our bills. That's what I should have to do with my home and my personal budget. I shouldn't have to do that with the HOA budget. We should have enough money to pay the bills. We should be able to consider our next project. We should be able to get our grass cut every week. We should be able to fertilize it so it looks nice. We should be able to do all the things that need to be done so our neighborhood can be as nice as can be. One thing Melvin used to say is we're kind of jewel in the South. We're Southeast Columbus. Lots of us, I'm sure, did the same thing me and mine did. We looked at some other neighborhoods. We thought this neighborhood was the best bang for the buck. We looked at some other ones that we felt were in nicer parts of town, but did we want to pay another 40, 50, 60, 70,000 for the same home? We decided no. I think what we also got to realize is based on where we're at, it's just certain things like the security that we're going to have to embrace to keep our neighborhood and our shared areas as nice as possible. So I wanted to open up to, it's hard for me to keep up with the chat.
I was going to say, you want to go ahead and address some of the stuff in the chat?
Yeah, I'll address some of the
I'll
chat.
tell you some of it. Somebody wants to know, as far as the annual budget, basically, what is it? Let's see.
Right, so somebody said the majority of our budget goes to the clubhouse and pool, and that's true. Facts. It's true. $24,000 going to the mortgage.
And we don't have any other amenities.
Yes, this is the only minute we have.
At this time.
Probably when we sit down, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,000 going to security, 2, 3,000 going to pool upkeep, electricity. Most of our money is going to the pool and clubhouse. That's true.
I would like to add, we would like to add some where we can add flowers and stuff like around the roundabouts and everything. But
Right.
at this time,
We don't have the money.
we don't have the money because the clubhouse and the pool is
Right.
the most expensive, cost that we have.
Right.
So we would love to be able to do other things, even improve the entryways and stuff.
But again, that's a fact. Most of the budget is going to 1589 Lexington Lake Drive, which is the address right here. Most of the budget is going to that. It ain't going nowhere. That's what I'll say. So accept it or don't accept it and keep, you can stay upset because the most of it is going towards the budget, but it's what it is. It ain't going away. This, I could make it go away if I wanted to. I could make it go away if I wanted to.
We have another question asking, would it be a good idea to have people volunteer for shifts as the security for volunteer service hours, given that the HOA is a nonprofit?
Right.
We tried this in the past and nobody volunteered. But we've tried it in the past and basically it was the board members, we would come down, but we have a lot of people that will say they'll do it and nobody shows up.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think it's a good idea.
I don't either.
I think somebody removed from the neighborhood needs to do it. That we don't have to worry about people playing favorites, letting their friends in, having any inherent biases. We don't have to worry about any of that when it's someone removed from the neighborhood. So again,
You don't want another George Zimmerman crisis.
exactly.
no.
Exactly.
And all it takes, and you see, so I don't get political, but you see the law that just got signed in, where you don't even have to have a permit to conceal carry. Did everybody see that the governor signed into law this week?
Yeah.
So that tells me it is an awful idea to have one of us, that all it takes is one of us to come down here packing and something goes really, really bad. And if that was to happen, and we were hit with a lawsuit and we lost it, a lot of us would be filing bankruptcy. You can Google it and see it. If we lost 20 million, imagine the 20 million debt split amongst 217 homes. You're gonna file bankruptcy. You're gonna lose your home. Period. So I think the idea sounds good, but in practice, it is not a good idea. We're better off that's why I like using CPD. We do pay a little bit more, I'm gonna be honest, but they're trained. It's good, as much as, law enforcement can be trained, they're trained to handle interactions. They can actually arrest people and take them to jail, and people are gonna fear just seeing the cops or the cop being there. But especially with that new law, I think having someone down here is just not a good idea. And I'm gonna be honest, we want to keep our dues as minimum as possible, but I don't want to keep them so minimum that it handicaps the neighborhood or it puts one of us in an uncomfortable situation. I'm gonna tell you, Amanda's not feeling well. She's not here. When we had that incident with those boys, we all pulling up. Her husband comes down here. We all pull up as if these boys are armed and dangerous. And that could have went south. I come down here yelling and fussing, to kick them out of here, the neighborhood and scare them out of here. But we know these young fools have guns. So all it takes is one interaction like that to go bad. And the cost of security would have been worth it 10 times over. We don't need to be in that predicament as an HOA board, and we don't need you guys to be in the predicament. Everybody should feel free to come down here and swim and not feel like people are trespassing, jumping the gate, having weapons, things like that. One other thing I want to go over, please remember that the shared area is our family area. So if you can play music, but please find some edited versions of a lot of these songs this time. It's not like back in the day. They had a lot of edited versions. A lot of these songs are filthy and are not okay to be played around in shared areas with families and little kids and things like that. So please, if you're here by yourself, that's a little different. But you got to be aware. Keep everything, PG-13 at worst. When you come to any kind of shared area that the HOA is responsible for. But that was a good question. We've thought about that, but I think the security from one of us, awful idea. I think it sounds good. I think it's gonna go bad.
I mean, it's the same thing that goes for why the police officers in the neighborhood really won't address in the neighborhood, because it's also that potential of,
That conflict
the
of
conflict
interest.
of interest
Mhm.
as well. You wanna,
And so, I'm just taking a look at the,
that's it.
comments. You know, somebody said if we raise the dues up, we may fall below 91%. We may. We may. We'll see. I'm not a why person. I'm a why not person. They've got to go up. Period. We don't want to cause any family harm, hardship. I don't think the average household dues going up by $85 is going to cause a whole lot of hardship, but I do think it'll impact some. For those that it will, we are more than welcome to work with you on that increase. We are working on a website because right now we have to manually invoice everyone and things like that. We're working on a website that we hope that'll give us the ability to allow you to pay, but what we also hope it does is for people that may be struggling a little bit, we wanted to allow you to be able to pay quarterly, semi-annually, or yearly. So maybe it'll be easier for you to pay, $62.50 4 times a year than pay the whole $250 at once. So we're trying to come up with some flexibility. I talked to Melvin, and what Melvin was trying to do was cut as much as he could to make the numbers work. Those of you who've been there for a while, y'all remember the website we used to have. He called it the portal. He got rid of that and just an attempt to save money. So we just at a point, ain't no more cutting to do. I'm sure many of us haven't always had money. And if you ever struggling, it ain't but so much cutting you can do before you got to have more money coming in. Eventually something is going to give. And that's where we're at. It's been gave. And so,
We have a question of how are the homeowners held liable through collections? If you don't pay, there is a collection process. That does take time.
all right.
Takes a lot of our personal time to go to the collections, to file everything through the court system for your collections, as well. And then of course you will be assessed fees on top of that for the time that we're having to take off work, we're having to deal with everything, the paperwork. It's truthfully just better just to go ahead and pay it than to go through the collection process.
And Tasha's right. What we spend to reimburse and on the fees, I will get all that back when we get the judgment. But everybody, if you've ever did small claims, a judgment is great. A judgment doesn't guarantee you're going to get paid. You got to get a judgment. We may have to put a lien on your property. We may have to actually try to garnish your check. That stuff doesn't happen automatically. So a judgment doesn't guarantee us payment. That's why I talked about earlier, when it comes to collections, we got to have money to spend now to collect later. If we spend $2,000 trying to collect on 10 households, that money is going to be spent now. We're likely not going to get that money till 2023, 2024. So we've got to have money to spend now. How can we go file suit on somebody right now and we ain't even got enough money to pay the mortgage? We don't have enough money to collect. So that's where we're at. It takes money to collect, and we got to at least have enough of a base budget to be able to do so. And so every decision we make, which we need to get away from it somewhat, every decision we make, something as simple as Mr. Holmes cutting the grass, I'm talking to Tasha, I'm talking to Amanda, what's the numbers look like? Can we afford it? We got to stop having to do that. Having decisions being made based on us not having it's different if we were close. We don't have anywhere near enough money. We got enough money in July, and we probably could switch and swing August. That's going to depend on how many homes close, collecting on fees, and then we got nothing. That's why we had to do the special assessment. Didn't want to do the special assessment. I argue Tasha up and down, if you want to be honest. I argue Tasha up and down trying to find a way to not do the special assessment. The raffle was an attempt at that. I thought the raffle was successful, right? But at the end of the day, the raffle pretty much raised enough money to pay for the event that day. When we think about what Lexington Hills really wants or needs to be, we need to be able to have parties. We need to be able to do trunk or treats. We need to be able to have movie nights. All that stuff can happen if we just have a little bit of money. We can't do anything when we don't even have enough money to get the grass cut on a regular basis. So that's kind of where we're at. So I'm trying to see if I missed any questions.
No.
In person, did anyone have any questions?
Well, I've been here since 2010,
Mm-hmm.
April of 2010,
Mhm.
and I did not vote for the pool.
Mhm.
Because the playground was more beneficial
Mm-hmm.
to me.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, but since the pool has been here, and I never had a problem paying my fees or anything, I've never set foot in the pool.
Right.
My daughters,
Right.
they use the pool and everything, and that's fine.
Mhm.
And I'm okay and comfortable with the pool now and everything. I don't have a problem with the $85 fee.
Mhm.
And I know too that it's been a while since we went up with these things.
Mhm.
And all it does is take a clear explanation. We
Right.
think you're doing a great job of explaining all of this now. And you made a good point, about inflation touching everybody. It has
Yes, ma'am.
touched everything in all of our homes, even in our jobs. And,
Yes, ma'am.
you know, our income does not seem to be
It doesn't keep pace with inflation.
the inflation right now
Yes,
and
ma'am.
everything, but it's understandable when you come here and just point out that the pool does add value. And when you bring that point home about it costing more to get rid of it than
Mhm.
it is to keep it, then driving that home today for those who are viewing, maybe they can get it. And then, you know, just get on board with this increase being what it is, and just if they choose to stay here, just going ahead and paying it.
Yes, ma'am.
And then offering those options for multiple payments throughout the year.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
that's great too, right there. So I do want to commend you guys on that. But I've seen a lot and I've argued a lot with our homeowners association in these 13 plus years
Mhm.
that I've been out here. So, you know.
Oh, and we
that's the type of
appreciate it.
person that I am.
We really appreciate it. And we have some land. We've kicked around adding another playground. We've even thought about adding a dog park. You know, one thing that irritates my soul is when
A
people
dog
pass
walking
by
trail,
with
corrections.
dogs and let their dog urinate on my,
Correction, a
Lawn.
dog walking
Dog
trail.
walking trail, right,
Not
so-
a dog park, but a dog walking
right.
trail.
So we have some land maybe to do something with a playground, things like that in the future, but all that's gonna cost money.
Hold on one second, Mr. Hodge, let me get this. So the question was supposed to be, how are we liable if someone does something and we get sued?
It's a
It's all
homeowners
because of the,
association.
yeah, the homeowners
Yeah.
association, once you agree to it, just like, if anything, when it comes down to it, we all are the responsible party,
Yeah.
being in a homeowners
When we moved
association.
out here, I bought an above ground pool,
Mhm.
the big ones, and I put it up in the yard for my daughter's birthday party.
Mhm.
And then, of course, you know, we had it up for that one day for the party, and I let the water out, I moved the ladder, put the ladder in the garage, I went to work, and Garrett's went to school and all that stuff, and, they were yelling at me for having a pool up without a fence.
Mhm.
And they used that same scenario, some kid could wander off
Yeah.
and come and get in your pool. But I did not have any water in there, and I was like, look, if some parent let their kid wander
Yeah.
off and somehow jump 4 feet into a pool, that's on them, but you know, it really would have been on me. That-
The-
that kid.
Yeah, it would, and I'm
It's
on.
crazy, it's these crazy rules, and so I use the same thing about, when we get our cups of coffee from McDonald's or Burger King, and it's telling us contents are hot. Why would you have to put that on a cup of coffee?
Because they done got sued for hot coffee spilled on their lap.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying, it's not these crazy, frivolous lawsuits where we do these stupid things, but you have to put those disclaimers out there, and you have to make these statements, so that people will at least have knowledge that this could happen, or you're not supposed to do this, so that if something should happen, then you do have a legal way
Right.
to stand on.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, I took the pool down.
And I want to address a statement by Robert in the chat.
That's
What
what I
you're
was gonna
saying is
say.
incorrect. We have an insurance policy. I want to say it's up to a couple million. If somebody sued us and they won more than that difference is going to be assessed to the homeowners. You can Google cases in Missouri. There's a case, I want to say in Missouri, they had a playground that was a fence, somebody got hurt, they sued and won, and lots of people filed bankruptcy. So that is a false statement. I just want to be honest. We have insurance, 100%. It's on there. We pay State Farm every month, $318.33. I about know it by heart. But we don't have a $20 million insurance policy. I want to say it's maybe $2 million for general liability. So if something bad did happen and we were held liable, we all could face financial impact from it. And you can Google plenty of HOA cases around the country where that has happened.
Yeah.
Another-
I had a question real quick.
Okay.
I haven't set foot in the pool either. I didn't vote for it for obvious reasons, because we live next door and I always got randoms walking through my garden and stuff. But the playground, it might have been good for kids, but it was a get high spot.
And a sex spot.
Every day,
Yeah,
It
some kids
was.
having sex, yeah, that's what it was.
And, you know, my main thing is security, because we live right next door to here, and I don't need any spillover from some nonsense going on at the pool. But, I came here earlier, we talked about it. Hey, buddy, maybe you don't need to be getting high. You got a garage, do what everyone else, just, hey, y'all don't need to be doing that.
Yeah.
Then 10 minutes later, I got a random adult in my face, getting all loud and stuff.
Right.
So, now, you know what you got at home. Shouldn't have to say anything to
Right.
anyone's kids.
Yeah.
But because I live right next door here, I'm not gonna let someone's kid get hurt. Before they cut the hole in the fence, and these were neighborhood kids. I know for a fact, these were neighborhood kids. I started to take a picture, but now I ain't gonna be messy. The girls had put little buddy up to climb the fence. And I'm like, well, you can't do that, bro. What are y'all doing? So he looked at me, and then, they up at the corner right there. That's the go-to spot till
Right.
the adults were waiting. They hung up there for a minute, and I think I had called you about that.
Right.
They showed when they heard me on the phone, and they finally walked. Everyone doing stuff down here ain't from Bunker Hill.
Right.
A lot of these neighborhood kids,
Yeah, some of
let's
it's
say all
it's
of
our
them,
kids.
Yeah,
And I want to address a couple of questions or statements. One thing that Ms. Giles and someone else kind of is a good point. We're really getting ready to increase the enforcement of architectural control, and she's right. There's cars on the street that haven't been moved, and over I think the city lost is 10 days. There's yards that are out of control with erosion and weeds. We are really getting ready to step up our efforts with architectural control. And I'm not gonna be like past. We ain't gonna just say we're gonna find you. With this new website, we're gonna find you and attach that website to you, and we're gonna make sure it works where you cannot pay anything else until you didn't pay that fine. So if you get a fine because your yard is out of control, you won't be able to pay your next year's dues until you pay that fine. So we are really getting ready to step up our efforts when it comes to architectural control. We don't go overboard, but we all know you don't want to own the home and the neighbor's house next to you has a lot of dirt in the front yard. It's just going to bring your home value down. We know we can't leave things, basketball goals laying on the road, too much erosion, yard ain't been cut in 3 weeks, fence leaning on cars that ain't moved. If you got a car that don't move, put it in your driveway. So we are really getting ready to increase our efforts from an architectural control standpoint. So that's a good question. We're getting ready to really increase our efforts on that to try to make sure everybody adheres to the same rules that we have to adhere to as well. We're not looking for perfection. And if your yard is in trouble, we ain't looking for you to fix it overnight as well. We're just looking for you to make some efforts and to try to get it to where it needs to be.
The speed tables for Antietam.
Yeah, speed tables.
We've tried to
Right.
get the speed tables before for Antietam, but the problem with it is that the street is city property.
Yeah.
And with the street being city property, I hate to say it, it'll take someone losing their life before they decide to put, right,
Yeah. And
before they decide to put them out there.
And honestly, I was talking to Melvin. The strip between both roundabouts is not ours. That's the city. But I'm tempted
Yeah.
to have Willie start cutting it because I keep submitting request after request, and the weeds are up to here before the city comes through and cuts it. But Natasha's right, and I've talked to Melvin. With that being the city streets, we are just hamstrung in what we can do from a homeowners association. Now, if this had one way in, one way out in the streets, well, our responsibility, first thing I say is the HOA dues would be a lot higher. And the second thing, then we can put all the speed tables we wanted to, but that's not a thing. The streets are the city of Columbus. They seem really apprehensive in putting speed tables or speed bumps because they have to be maintained.
Well, years ago, they said that it was actually more dangerous to put.
Yeah, they removed
because
some
they said
of that.
if people were flying, that they could actually go over and,
Yeah.
they were going, and they go across those speed tables at a high speed, they could actually end up.
Lose
hitting
control.
Somebody's driving
Right.
in their house quicker than what just driving through, like that.
I
And
agree.
plus,
Since we've been out here in the.
Well, what about
how
speed
Columbus
bumps?
police come through here to get the Bunker Hill as well, I'm sure that's another underlying
Right.
reason why they don't want them out here as well. I
Right.
mean, unfortunately, we have tried to address this
Right.
issue several times, and the only way to change it, and that's gonna be, once again, something costly, is to really become a private community. And that takes money.
Yeah,
We
that's
don't
why
have-
your dues quadrupling at
Yeah.
least, because we would have to have money to maintain the streets, all of that. So I don't see it happening. I think it would be nice if it did, but I don't see it happening. But cars race down. All the streets are on hills. They race down my street. I'm sure they race down yours. Just not a whole lot we can do as a homeowners association about it. I like to be honest. I don't like to deal in unicorns and rainbows. There's not a whole lot we can do as a homeowners association. We have pursued it several times, just not much we can do. Somebody said, what if someone drowns? Which could happen, right? My response to that is, A, make sure you and your family adhere to the rules. We've raised the age up to 18 as far as nobody being down here under 18 without someone from the house 18 plus on purpose. We limit the guests to 2 on purpose because we don't want you to bring in 12 people and somebody lose track of a 3-year-old and then they're sitting on the bottom of the pool. Make sure you have your key card to access the pool. Make sure you don't let people in that do not belong to the neighborhood.
And I
Make
want to stress that.
Yeah.
Because we do have people who, these kids will wait around right in front of here and talk to them, and they'll go ahead and leave the gate open for them and let them in. And we need to make sure that we're not doing that. I don't care what type of nice story they can give you or whatever. We don't need to let them in if they don't have, because now you're the one that's becoming responsible for them.
Right.
And a lot of people are like, oh no, I don't want to be responsible. Well, that's what you did when you opened up the gate and told them, well, come on in and swim. Not even knowing if they know how to swim or anything like that.
And use some common sense. If a mama's coming with 2 babies, let her in. But that's
Yeah.
not who's trespassing. It's these young kids trying to trespass. So one of the best things we can do to make sure an incident like that doesn't happen is to adhere to the rules. Everybody signs forms agreeing to the rules. Keep an eye on your cars. I put a message out. To me, it was a little foolish trying to charge people $100 for a replacement. Those cars don't cost us that much. Check once every couple weeks. Make sure you have your cars. We had an incident where some kids came over to a homeowner's house and stole the car, but they, like a lot of homeowners, they didn't use the pool that often. And they didn't even know the car was missing. And these kids was coming in trespassing for who knows how long. So check your cars every so often. If you just can't find one, message one of us. We can jump in there, turn it off, and issue you a new one. It's not a big deal. But the best thing we can do to prevent something bad from happening is to make sure we all follow the rules when it comes to the pool.
Let's
Yeah.
talk as far as the voting.
Voting. Right. So with the vote, if you read the covenant, we have to have a certain amount of people here to even be able to vote on an issue, which we don't have. Looks like we got 23 in the stream.
8.
We got 8, 9 people in here, so we're nowhere near enough people to even vote on the resolution about increasing the dues. So what the HOA covenant calls for us to do is schedule another meeting more than 30 days and less than 60 days from this one to vote again. So that's what we'll have to do because we're not even close to the minimum. And that's part, I'm gonna be honest, that's part of the problem. We got something as important as an HOA due increase. We have 217 homes and we have 40 people here. And some of the 40 are spouses. So when we start talking about households here, we probably got 33, 34 households present of 217 households. Now, people have to work. A lot of people are going to have to come back and watch a live stream, but we made it known that you had to be present in person or by proxy via the YouTube meeting to vote. Out of 217 homes, we probably got 35 people here. 35.
So what happens if you don't get the form you need at the next?
The board takes whatever action it sees fit. So if the minimum doesn't come to the next meeting, I can already tell you the board's going to approve the increase. Period. Point blank. I like being transparent. We're going to improve the increase because it's needed. Again, I want to reiterate that the special assessment does not require a vote. We just have to have a meeting to make sure everybody's informed, which is today. The special assessment is due September 1st. For now, we may end up invoicing through PayPal. We're trying to see how quick we can get the website up. PayPal, Cash App, we don't care. Lots of people have already paid the special assessment. So if you want to go ahead and pay it, message one of us. We'll get back with you as soon as we can. But the special assessment is locked and loaded. It's due from every household by September 1st, late by September. I think the last day in September is the 30th. If you're having financial difficulty, message one of us privately. We'll be more than happy to work with you.
On the same token, we're asking what happens if you don't get enough people, what if you do get enough people, and that missing crew says no.
Okay, so
So what happens then?
if so, and I'm sorry I don't know your last name, ma'am.
I'm Jacqueline Sanders.
Okay, Miss Sanders.
62 Freeridge Drive,
All right.
Rotary Sign.
So Miss Sanders said, what happens if enough people do show up at the next meeting and vote no? Covenant says 66 2/3% have to vote to improve an increase. I'm gonna tell you what's, first thing we're gonna do is do the automatic 10% increase that we can do as an HOA. And then we're probably gonna be looking at this time next year, when we fall short from a budget standpoint, having to do a special assessment again. I'm just gonna be honest and transparent. So in my eyes, it's like the fees, the money coming in has to go up one way or another. We do reserve the right, and is in the covenant, to do a special assessment if we don't have enough money to pay the bills. So I'm being transparent. That's what's going to happen. No idea what the special assessment amount will be. We'd have to see how the year is going. And things like that. But if it is not to pass, we already know what. So if it don't pass, Ms. Sanders, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna get on there like Melvin, sounding like Keith Sweat, begging all y'all to pay your fees early, and then we're gonna pull $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 from $7,000 from next year, because the way it's looking, we're about $12,000 short with that bill repair. So I'm gonna get on there nagging and crying like Keith Sweat, and I'm gonna pull $7,000, $8,000 again, and then we're gonna be sitting here, if y'all elect me president again, we'll be sitting here again next year doing the same song and dance. That's what's gonna happen.
Okay, well, I just wanted to know.
Yeah, that, and but if the fee increase doesn't go through,
It'll go, 10% will be
10%.
applied to it.
all right, we'll go up 10%, which will take us to a little over 180, and then we'll have to see how that goes. What does the money from the special assessment look like? And my gut, we probably looking at a $40, $50 special assessment next year with an automatic increase of 10% again until we get to where we need to be. So again, if you don't want somebody who's gonna be transparent, then do not vote for me next year. Don't do it. Don't do it. If you want somebody that's gonna get up here and lie to you and give you unicorns and rainbows, then vote for whoever else runs. But if you want somebody who's gonna try to be honest and be transparent with the numbers and where we are, then I'm obviously gonna run again. Vote for me. We'll try to do the best we can for the neighborhood. That's, we don't want to tell you what you want to hear. We tell you what you kind of need to hear to make the best decision that you can. Somebody else made a comment that I think is something we've thought about, is once we get to a financial place, should we increase the liability amount on our insurance? And I think absolutely we should. We probably should get up to maybe 10 mil or so. Now that's going to increase that insurance probably to $400 or $500 a month. But man, if I'm talking about what, I'd rather pay another $200 a month divided by 217 homes as opposed to looking at a pound on a lawsuit. That is a no-brainer to me. But again, when we're running really tight from a budget standpoint, we can't take $100, $200 increase on a monthly bill right now. So that's a fantastic idea, and it's something we need to do to get more liability insurance just in case something bad did happen. But we got to have the money to do it.
I want to thank everybody for coming,
Me too.
attending on the virtual as well. And just know that we are here trying to do things to bring us together as a community, and and make things better for Lexington Hills. And I guess we'll see you next time. We'll put out the information as far as the next meeting.
Yeah,
And we have snacks up here, water,
Right.
no sodas though, but we have snacks up here if you would like to get some. All right, thank you.
Y'all take care. Have a good weekend.
Still don't like it.
No, that was just something.
No, this is just